All right, everybody, I want to move on now to my favorite part of the show, gun talk. And for gun talk today, I want to clarify something I said a couple of days ago in a video. I said something about when I was choosing a gun for young people, I might choose them a single action 22 revolver. But if I was choosing a gun for old people, I definitely wouldn't choose them a 22. I'd probably choose them like a 9mm revolver or something if I was going to go revolver, or 38 special. Well, a lot of people said, well, why don't you like 22 for self-defense? Are you saying 22 won't kill nobody? That shows you don't know nothing. 22s kill people all the time, blah, 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 blah. Well, one of the main reasons 22s have such high kill rates, they've been around for a very long time, and they're also very popular with like cartels and stuff to walk up and put a gun behind someone's, back of their head, base of their skull, and pull the trigger. They're very effective at that range. They can kill people at a mile distance. I know of a story once, not just like a wives' tale, but like an actual news story where a person was jumping on a trampoline in their backyard, got struck by a 22 long rifle shell in the forehead, or no, I believe it was in the side of the head, and died. And when it turned out, when they traced where the bullet came from, it was like a mile away in a field. So bullets can be deadly for a long ways, but still wouldn't be 22. I don't think anybody would say was the optimal gun for self-defense. But I'm not saying 22 is not good for self-defense. If you've got a 22 Magnum pistol, that's the first gun I ever bought myself. Was a little Taurus, I believe it was an 8-shot 22 Magnum revolver. A little stainless steel one. I can't remember the number of it, the model number of it, but I remember the gun. Very much so. Loved that gun. Carried that gun for self-defense everywhere I went when I was 18 years old. I think they're awesome. I'm not going to tell people that 22 is bad. What I was saying, why I was saying 22 is not something I would choose for old people, is that it's not great in a revolver because they are rimfire. And I'm not saying they're not great in revolvers because rimfires are unreliable. It just takes more effort, more force to fire them. If you look at the difference between a rimfire round and a centerfire round, you know how the centerfire rounds have those nice soft little brassy areas where the hammer hits and ignites the primer? Rimfires take a lot more effort. Those center primers are so much easier to ignite with less pressure. Rimfires take more pressure. And since the pressure has to be higher, that means the spring has to be stronger, either for your striker or your hammer. Now, if that's on a striker, that's not that big a deal, because the power of the gun is going to cock it every time you fire it. And the first time you just got to slide the slide back. And that's going to be some resistance, but you're not going to notice it as bad there. But if it's in a revolver and it's a hammer trigger that has to be a lot stiffer to give you that harder hit, well, that's going to make the gun harder on a double action pull. And most people are going to use their revolver, especially older people, double action when they fire it the first time. And it's going to be a really stiff pull. If you've ever shot 22 Magnum revolvers or 22 long rifle revolvers, you know the double action trigger sucks. And it sucks because that hammer spring is so heavy so that it hits the round hard enough to reliably ignite it. So that's why I was saying I wouldn't choose 22 in a revolver for older people, because of that really horrible, heavy initial pull. Now, if they're going to be cocking back the hammer, well, if they have weak thumbs, they might not even be able to do that, but they should be able to do that, especially if they do it two-handed. But most people aren't going to do that, especially older people. They're going to fire that gun the first time they're going to try to fire with that double action trigger pull. And it's going to be double action every time unless they cock the hammer. So it really puts them at a disadvantage. Makes it much more likely they're going to miss, not get off a second shot, etc. And that's all because, like I said, the hammer spring has to be stronger so that the hammer hits harder to ignite that rimfire round. That's the reason I said I don't like 22s for self-defense in revolvers. It's got nothing to do with the round itself, other than the fact that it's harder to ignite. It's got more to do with the fact that when you put 22 in a revolver, it really makes for a shitty trigger. And when someone's older, I don't want them to have to deal with that really heavy, really shitty trigger.